Today I'm going to be solving a problem that has vexed me for years now, which is an area right off our driveway, right when you enter our property, that is quite utilitarian and always looked really utilitarian. Today I'm going to make it look a little prettier, but still be utilitarian. Hey everyone, Erin the Impatient Gardener. I live and garden here in southeastern Wisconsin, Zone 6A, and I want to show you the plant that is going to be the problem-solving plant. But first, I want you to just think about this. If you wanted a low-growing evergreen plant that was deer-resistant, hardy in at least Zone 5, and needed very little care and could grow in a pretty shady situation, what would you go with? If you said boxwood, I'm right there with you. But I don't want more boxwood. I have a lot of boxwood. Boxwood need a little bit of pruning. They need a little bit of fertilizing. They don't have to necessarily be high maintenance plants, but this isn't an area where I think boxwood is appropriate. So let me show you what the perfect plant in that situation is. It's this one right here. This is Russian cypress, also known as Microbiota decussata. And I don't know why this plant doesn't fly out of garden centers the way it should, because this plant is just so good for so many reasons. So let me give you some stats about this plant. First of all, as you might guess from the name, it is super hardy, down to Zone 2, up to Zone 7. Now, granted, you in the warmer zones, this is not going to be for you because of that. And the exposure range on this plant is full sun to full shade. So what more do you want out of a plant? It also is really adaptable to a wide variety of soils. It can handle drought after it's established a little bit. It gets beautiful red, kind of coppery red color in winter, which is a nice color to have around because there's some color in winter. And can actually be used as a ground cover, or it can be used as sort of a shrubby type plant. It gets between 12 and 18 inches tall, 3 to 4 feet wide. And when you look at it, it kind of looks like the ground cover junipers or the wider spreading junipers that are out there. But of course, those need to be grown in full sun. It's also soft to the touch. It's not pokey or sharp. It is as deer resistant as any plant gets to be. And really, it just needs nothing from you other than some water to get it established. And then you walk away from it for all time. So that is the plant that is solving the problem, but let me explain the problem. So this is the entrance to our property. Over here, you see this garden all the time. This is a really beautiful driveway garden that was created in 2020. And then over here, we move to what is kind of a mess. This area is important because when we do get bulk materials delivered, they need to go in this area. So what do you do when you have a place where sometimes you need to have a pile of wood chips sitting around, or in this case, bales of pine straw mulch sitting around? You need a place to put those things, and that place is here. Now I'm backing up a little bit here to just tell you that in the past, this area was just grass. Now grass doesn't grow well here, super well anyway. It grows a little bit, but you know, I mean, because look, that's to the south of it. We've got big tall Norway spruces there. We can grow a little bit, and there is on this end, we do get you know, probably half a day of sun, I would say. As you get closer that way, you get a little bit less. All in all, this is a part sun to part shade area, basically. About 3 years ago, I started adding shrubs in this area because it was stupid, in my opinion, to mow bad-looking lawn over here. It just never looked good. There was no reason to have it there. It certainly wasn't adding anything to the effect here. And so I added in some shrubs that are actually all doing really well. We've got a, there's a matcha ball, ash leaf spirea. We've got a durvilla right here. That's arborvitae forever goldie. We've got several hydrangeas in the front here. We've got 3 Haas Halo hydrangeas in the front. Behind that, we've got pinky pollen ring, excuse me. Behind that, we've got bottlebrush buckeye. There's actually 4 along here, which should get very big and sort of colonize. That would be great. There's a neon dogwood back here. All of these things could use more water, and I'll talk about that in a second. We've got a few winterberries in the back there, and then we've got 3 skylight better boxwoods here. Oh, and then recently I added in this. This is Jedloa eastern hemlock. But I always left this area open because of the aforementioned deliveries. So as I've been thinking about this, I went to something that has worked for me in the past, which is when you need to bring order to a space, think about, instead of making the garden the positive shape, make the grass the positive shape. So essentially create your garden bed around a very bold shape of grass. So I've got a circle on the other side of the house. Here I did a sort of oblong semicircle. It's a little bit longer than it is. It's not a true semi. Here I did sort of an elongated semicircle. And in the middle here, we are going to grow grass. There's some grass there. I've put a layer of compost and topsoil down here. We're going to grow more grass here. I have removed all of the grass in between all these shrubs here, which I didn't do originally, and that was really a bad mistake. So stuff is going to happen there, but that's sort of stage 2 of this project. And what we're going to do is we're going to plant these Russian cypress along the edges here, creating a hedge, a low-growing, easy-care hedge that defines this area. And then we're leaving it open at the back so that trucks can drive right over the grass, which is fine with me, drive right over the grass and then dump behind there. They can even come onto the grass too. I mean, I don't mind if the grass isn't perfect. No grass at this property is perfect. But what this does is it eliminates a bunch of grass that we shouldn't have had to begin with over here around these shrubs. And it creates at least something that's going to look at least orderly over here. So I have 20 of these Russian cypress. I'm going to plant them more or less 18 inches on center, which will get us to that 3-foot range. So they should touch and create a hedge. And I should, other than watering them, I should never have to touch them again. And then I can come in, replant the grass here, and we'll see what this looks like. I've already added a pretty good layer of compost to this entire area here, which should help bulk up that soil. I'm going to use the auger to do the holes, which should make this go pretty fast. And then I'm going to add the forget about it root feeder packs per hole. And I think I'm going to do all the holes and then pop all the plants in. Might as well do it that way. I have, though, taken all of these plants and soaked them in a bucket of water because things have been getting kind of dry around here, and I just wanted those root balls to be really well hydrated before they go in the garden. So let's fire up the auger and just get going on this. Okay, so there's the view from here with everything planted. Ran into some sort of clayish soils. Doesn't usually happen here, but you never know what you're going to get on this property. So there's the first step in a little bit of problem solving over here. I'm going to lay down some grass seed, try to get some grass going over here in the middle. And then at some point, I'll show you a step 2, which is going to happen between all those shrubs over there. For some reason, not a lot of people know about Russian cypress, and I just think it's another one of those problem-solving plants that can do so much. I also happen to think it's a really beautiful plant as well, so I was glad to be able to use it here. The other nice thing about Russian cypress is that is not a branded plant, so Bailey's Nursery grows that, and of course Bailey's supplies much of the United States. So you should not have a hard time finding that, and you shouldn't have to pay a ton of money for that plant either. So it's actually the kind of plant that works pretty well for planting in mass like this. But I also use it as sort of a specimen, and I've used it a couple of times as sort of a ground cover area as well. So keep it in mind, because I think it's just one of those really useful plants if you live in a cooler zone. All right, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned and subscribe to see this area become something better. Have a great day in your garden. Bye, everyone.